Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Hey everyone, so when you picture Puerto Rico, you probably see a sun-drenched paradise, right? And it is. Beautiful. But behind that beauty, there's a really serious crisis going on. The island isn't just struggling, it's literally emptying out. And today, we're going to dig into why.
Okay, let's just start with one number, 1 million. Back in 2006, Puerto Rico's population was almost 4 million people. Now, forecasts are showing that by the year 2100, it could drop all the way down to just 1 million. I mean, that's not just a decline, that's a demographic collapse. So that brings us to the big question, the one we're going to try and answer. Why? What on earth is powerful enough to make an entire island's population just disappear? Well, the answer is a complicated story about its people, its economy, and its really tangled relationship with the United States.
To really get to the why, we first have to look at the what. And believe me, the data tells a story that is pretty much impossible to ignore. It all kicks off with the economy.
Just look at this chart. You can see the economic freefall right here. For decades, growth was slowing down, but look at what happens to that line after 2006. It just plummets below zero and stays there. For more than a decade, Puerto Rico's economy wasn't just stuck in neutral, it was actively shrinking. And here's the direct human cost of that. As the economy got smaller, people just left. You can see the shift into those negative orange bars. By 2015, the island was losing almost 1.5% of its entire population every single year. People were voting with their feet.
The third piece of this whole puzzle, jobs. It follows the exact same pattern. Employment numbers just drop off a cliff, and this creates a really nasty, vicious cycle. The economy contracts, which means fewer jobs, which forces people to leave, which shrinks the economy even more. So who exactly is leaving? This comparison is, well, it's pretty stark. On the left, in the year 2000, you have a really healthy population pyramid. See that wide base of young working-age people? Now look at the right. Just 14 years later, that core has been completely hollowed out. The island is losing its engine, the very people you need to work, to innovate, and to rebuild. And this chart right here, it just spells it out. The little tiny blue bars, that's population growth from births. But look how they're just dwarfed by those massive orange bars. That's people leaving. This isn't about a low birth rate, folks. This is a full-blown exodus. But you know what? These numbers, they're just symptoms of a much deeper problem. To really get what's going on, we have to go back, way back, more than 100 years, to the very foundation of Puerto Rico's modern economy. This timeline, it reveals a pattern that's been going on for a century. From the moment the U.S. took over in 1898, the island's economy has been reshaped over and over by outside forces, first for sugar, then for manufacturing. Yeah, Operation Bootstrap created a huge boom, but it was all built on a very fragile foundation of U.S. tax breaks. So what happened when Congress took those away in 1996? The whole thing collapsed. And on top of all that, there's this century-old law called the Jones Act. It's one of the biggest kind of hidden weights holding Puerto Rico's economy down. Basically, it says that anything shipped from the U.S. mainland has to use these super expensive U.S.-built and crewed ships, and that just artificially jacks up the price of almost everything on the island. Just listen to this quote. It really captures how absurd this is. Because of the Jones Act, goods often take these bizarre, roundabout, expensive routes just to follow the law. And for an island that imports most of what it consumes, well, that just strangles families and businesses by making everything from food to building materials way more expensive. Okay, now let's jump to a more modern policy. One that, instead of helping, has arguably made things even worse by creating a deeply divided island. Right, so let's talk about Act 60. In an attempt to bring money to the island, Puerto Rico basically turned itself into a tax haven for rich Americans. I want you to imagine moving to a beautiful island and all of a sudden paying 0 capital gains and 0 federal income tax. Yeah, it's a deal that's been attracting billionaires, crypto investors, you name it. But what this did was create a tale of two Puerto Ricos. On one side, you have locals who are dealing with a shrinking economy, rising costs, and paying their full share of taxes.
And on the other side, wealthy newcomers enjoying a tax-free life, buying up property, and pricing out the very people who have lived there for generations. And this is the real human cost. Over half, nearly 58%, of all children in Puerto Rico are living in poverty. It's a direct result of an economy that pulls wealth out and displaces its own people, leaving the most vulnerable behind. So this isn't just about economics, it's social. As one source put it, this feeling of one rule for them, one rule for us, just eats away at the social fabric. It creates this deep, damaging sense that the whole system is unfair. So you have this century of economic weakness. What do you think happens when a perfect storm of modern disasters slams into it? Well, that's what pushed the island right to the very brink. The really fragile system we've been talking about got absolutely hammered by a series of shocks. Hurricane Maria, which just wiped out the island's infrastructure, a totally crippling debt crisis, and ongoing government mismanagement. These things didn't create the problem, but boy, did they accelerate the decline. This chart really shows you the incredible scale of the challenge ahead. I mean, even with optimistic growth, the economy isn't expected to get back to its 2006 level until after 2034. Let that sink in. That is nearly 3 decades of lost progress. So what can possibly be done? Well, experts and activists are pointing to a few key things. Dealing with the massive debt, finally repealing that restrictive Jones Act, investing in a resilient local energy grid, and, this is the big one, ultimately giving Puerto Rico genuine control over its own economic destiny. And that really leaves us with this final critical question. At the absolute heart of this entire crisis, from colonialism to tax havens, is the issue of sovereignty. The fight for Puerto Rico's survival is, at the end of the day, a fight for its right to decide its own future, on its own terms. The way forward for Puerto Rico is obviously super complex, and a lot of people are debating it. What do you think is the most critical step? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if this helped you understand the situation a little better, please give us a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the issues shaping our world. Thanks so much for sticking with us for this one. We'll see you next time.